Audio test, 1, 2, 3. Audio test, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Good morning to our attendees who are joining us here in the hearing room. Good morning, city staff, executives. Good morning to our attendees who are joining us on the virtual platform. I do see a couple of hands raised. If you would like to offer commentary on our agenda items or public comment, please raise your hand, identify yourself for the record, and which item you'd like to speak on. I'll ask you to unmute, identify which item you'd like to speak on, and then I will record that information and then call upon you when we reach your item. Good morning, Audit LA.
Good morning, TJ. I would like everything, public comment and agenda items, please.
Very well, I have you down for public comment and all agenda items.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute and lower your hand. I'll move next to Children's Voices Matter. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Knight. I would like public comment, please.
Very well, I have you down for public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute and lower your hand. Yvonne, good morning.
Many things. Public comment today, even though the cockroaches in the sewer is interesting.
Okay, I have you down for public comment. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute and lower your hand. It is 9:51. We should get started with the board meeting in approximately 9 minutes. Thank you. Good morning again to our attendees who are joining us here in the hearing room. If there's any member of the public who wishes to offer commentary, please fill out a speaker card located in the back of the room. Indicate which item you'd like to speak on and hand it to me. I'll record your information and call upon you when we reach your item. Good morning as well as for our attendees joining us on the virtual platform. If you would like to offer commentary and you've not already done so, please raise your hand. I'll ask you to unmute and identify yourself and which item you'd like to speak on. I'll record that information, then I'll call upon you when we reach your item. And I see Laura FM has raised her hand. Good morning, Laura.
Morning, TJ.
Would you like to offer public comment, agenda item comment?
Public comment and minutes agendas, please.
Very well. I have you down for public comment and single item commentary in the minutes.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute and lower your hand. And I currently have Audit LA, Children's Voices Matter, Yvonne, and Laura FM, who have identified themselves as wishing to speak on public comment and/or agenda item commentary this morning. If anyone else is joining us and you would like to offer commentary, please raise your hand, and I'll ask you to identify yourself and which item you'd like to speak on. And we should get started with the board meeting in just a couple of minutes. Thank you. And good morning again. I do see an additional hand raised on the virtual platform. I do see a couple of hands raised. Nora Ames, would you like to offer public comment or agenda item commentary this morning?
Public comment.
Thank you, Nora. I have you down for general public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute and lower your hand. And Georgina?
Yes, public comment and all agenda items, please.
Thank you. I have you down for public comment and all agenda items. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute and lower your hand. If there's anyone, thank you. If there's anyone else who would like to join, who would like to offer commentary on any of our items, please raise your hand. And I will ask you to unmute and ask you for which item you'd like to speak on. And again, welcome to our attendees joining us here in the hearing room. If there's any member of the public who wishes to offer commentary, please fill out a speaker card located in the back of the room. Indicate which item you'd like to speak on and hand it to me. We are now in record mode and ready to begin. President King.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for Monday, December 8, 2025. Mr. Knight, please take roll and establish quorum.
Thank you, President King, Vice President Chavez, President Pro Tem Grant, and Commissioner Cardenas are present. We do have a quorum. We are joined this morning by City Attorney Representative Thomas Costello Vega. I'm TJ Knight with the Board of Public Works. President King, we have 6 public comment speakers on the virtual platform, and 3 multiple agenda item commenters on the virtual platform. We have no one in the hearing room this morning, and we have no neighborhood council commentary.
Thank you very much. We will get started with general public comment, which is an opportunity for the public to address the board on public interest items and will be provided up to 1 minute per person, up to a cumulative total of 10 minutes for the general public comment segment of each regular meeting. Testimony shall be limited in content to subject matters which are within the jurisdiction of the Board of Public Works. The board may not take any action on any matters discussed during the public comment period. We do not have any in-person speakers this morning, so we'll transition to our virtual platform.
Thank you, President Kang, and we'll go ahead and start with Audit LA, followed by Children's Voices Matter.
Good morning. We had a beautiful ceremony vigil for Lisa McPherson on her 30th year of her being tortured and killed by Scientology. But they had the planners out again, and I believe you got my emails. Well, it looks like they may have removed them since then, so I don't know what game they're playing. But because of all this nonsense, and they still have these towers and all the lighting and everything, I have a video. I'm still going to send it, even if the planners are removed, that I am asking you to please not give them the permit for the 14th. It's to the point where they have to be held accountable for all their not even having any regard for any rule. They don't feel that they, have to abide by any of your rules because you're the WOGs. We're all the WOGs. So they don't feel like they have to abide by it. But they do. We live in a society where they do have to abide by the rules, but only you can make them do that.
Thank you.
And so I'm asking you to deny
That's
that.
60 seconds, and we'll move next to Children's Voices Matter, followed by Yvonne.
Greetings, everyone. Today I propose a memorial be built on L. Ron Hubbard Way to honor all of the child Scientologists who took their own lives, full with a memorial flame that burns day and night. Thank you. I yield back my time.
And we'll move next to Yvonne, followed by Laura FM.
Special event 2025, 2013 is a New Year's celebration permit December 14th. Please deny this. It shouldn't be a special event permit. It should be a Films LA permit. It is a filming that will be conducted inside the Shrine Auditorium. There is no reason for there to be any road closures or sidewalk closures. This is an inappropriate application. December 21st, Eventbrite has announced the candy cane toy giveaway event as predicted. There is no application currently on the special events permit page, and the neighborhood council is not being informed. Deny this permit.
That's 60 seconds. Thank you, Yvonne. We'll move next to Laura FM, followed by Nora.
Good morning, board. So I, last year and the year before, was protesting at the Shrine Auditorium. This is when I saw my father, President Kang. This is the loop when I was bawling my eyes out in shock. Okay, this is what they do every single year. You have to know, you must understand this. You guys on the board, you must understand this. I'm almost 40 years old, and they have been doing this since I was a child, a baby, before that, okay? I'm screaming for my father, and he's pushing his dish cart on the sidewalk because I was lied to by the police and Scientology that we weren't allowed to be on that sidewalk. I could have walked with my father and maybe got him out with just the fucking care of my voice and empathy. Can you please stop giving them this Shrine Auditorium permit on the 13th of December? I will be there. This is not okay. It is the recruitment, it is the muscle that brings everybody into slavery.
And that's 60 seconds. Thank you. We'll move next to Nora, followed by Georgina.
Sorry, it took me a second to get unmuted there. Thank you. This is in reference to permit 2025-2013-2025, a permit granted from the streets to Church Scientology at the Shrine Auditorium. Let me just say, as a former indentured servant who was used as slave labor to make the sets, build the sets, install them, break them down for this permit. You have to stop slave labor in Los Angeles. These people are not paid livable wage. This is a recruitment event where they are stealing money from their members, not allowing them to leave the building, by the way, until they have donated a sufficient amount, okay, violating fire codes, violating all safety laws, and then closing the sidewalks to people who are trying to get the truth out, who survived barely this cult that has taken over this city and is allowed to run
And that's 60
ramshot.
seconds. Thank you. Georgina?
Hi, thank you. I'm calling because I want the R permit, the street permit, revoked for Charles Manson Way. Oh, sorry, I mean L. Ron Hubbard Way, the other cult leader. I don't know why we have a street named after a cult leader, a court convicted felon for, well, he's not a court convicted felon. He was convicted of infiltrating the federal government, but he was unindicted. He orchestrated the largest infiltration of the federal government, and yet we have a street named after him. He is damaging lives to this day, even though he's been gone some 50 years, practically. And these people are enslaved and suffering, and it needs to be stopped. I yield back my time. I'm stumbling words today.
Thank you. President King, that concludes the commenters on the virtual platform who had previously indicated that they wish to offer public comment. However, there's an additional hand raised. If you like, I can speak.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Miriam, I see that your hand is raised. Would you like to offer public comment this morning?
Yes, please. Good morning, TJ.
Good morning. Go ahead. Good morning. 60 seconds.
Thank you. I'm also calling regarding the event on Shrine Auditorium because for the past 2 years, the cult of Scientology has been using LAPD to block the sidewalk access for just regular pedestrians, which is against the law. First year, they were only just telling people not to go on the sidewalk. Last year, they were building huge fences and actually stopping people, students that were living close by, to even access the sidewalk. So I highly recommend that you will actually reject this permit this year because they are never going to follow the rules. Thank you.
And President King, that concludes public comment this morning on the virtual platform.
Thank you very much. With that, we will close the general public comment portion of today's meeting and move forward with multiple agenda item public comment. The board will provide an opportunity for members of the public wishing to speak on more than one agenda item during multiple agenda item comment period for up to a minute per item, up to a total of 3 minutes per meeting. This is the only time to speak on more than one agenda item, and please identify the items that you will speak on when you are called. We do not have any in-person speakers, so we will transition to our virtual platform.
Thank you, President King. We'll go ahead and start with Audit LA, followed by Georgina. Audit LA, if you please identify which item you're speaking on.
I'm going to start with number 2, the roach thing in the sewer. It says it covers the East Valley, and that's, that's my area. So I am begging you to like increase the budget on that one and get them all before it gets to us. Now I want to go to I think it's 4, 5, and 6, the ones where you are fining people for non-compliance. Here's what we've been begging for, okay, for a year and a half, to please fine Scientology for their non-compliance of their R permit in every single, and I mean there's not been one permit that they have even closely or remotely followed. Not even close. No fire lanes, zigzag fire lanes, blocked sidewalks, all kinds of things, electrical cords that are definitely not legit. And yet there's been nothing added to the agendas or anything like there is today for 2 different things to give them a fine for non-compliance. And so we're asking that you, do things fairly and evenly. If it's because they're a religious entity and and they're trying to put pressure saying, oh, it's a religious bigotry. No, it's not. It is not religious bigotry to demand that they abide by the permits and by the laws. When You know, I remember a couple decades ago going through it with the Catholic Church, another that was a religious entity, and we did not look the other way when we found out that the church was shuffling priests who were molesting children. They're not allowed to do things like that just because they're a religious entity. Well, they're not allowed to disobey all the city rules here because of a religious entity. Mind you, like we are more aware of what they do with these permits. We understand the slave labor. We understand the inhumanity that the jail system inside, the neglected seniors, the medical, the people who die or quickly of cancer because they're denied medical treatment. We're well aware of the child abuse and what auditing and everything that they do with children. If you, you know, I'll probably send a video of it because if one, I think once you guys fully get aware of why we fight so hard, then maybe you know you would say, you know what, the city needs to line up, and we need to do what we're doing here in 4 and 5, and say, no, you know, we're going to revoke these permits. You're not going to do it. You need to, you know, stop this stuff because you're aligning yourself with it. Like there's no reason to give them the shrine. Why? Because they do it every year. Too bad. I mean, it's like at what point, like as a parent, right? You have your kids. You know, they're constantly breaking the rules. You say no. Well, it's a big event, Dad or Mom. I don't care. You didn't do what I told you to do up until this point. No, you don't get to go to your concert. And that's what you kind of have
That's
to
3
do.
minutes, thank you. And we'll move next to Georgina. Please indicate
Thank
which item
you.
you'd like to speak on. Go ahead.
I want to start with minutes. And I want to clarify really quickly the reason I was stumbling with my words so much and so broken up is just it's so emotional to hear people like Laura and Nora call in and their voices aren't even reflected in the minutes, but to hear Laura's pain just trying to see her father, just trying to help her father out of this cult, seeing him working the slave labor hours for $11 to $47 a week is not reflected in the minutes. And Nora brought up a permit number, a specific example. Well, that's not written down. No one cares. No one's tracking this. So she can give all the details she wants, and it means nothing if it's falling on deaf ears and it's not being reflected in the minutes. As for 4, 5, and 6, the violations that they haven't been charged with, they still haven't been tasked with repairing those sidewalks, even from the planters. They weren't charged for the violation that the planters were. They're never charged for the permit violations. They they violate every permit they're given, and yet you keep giving them permits. That street needs to be renamed. We can't have Jesus Christ way. Why isn't there separation of church and state in this instance also? Thank you for listening to me. I yield back my time.
And President King, that concludes multiple agenda item commentary. However, there is a single item commentary on the minutes. If you'd like, we could take that now.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Laura FM, you've indicated that you wish to offer commentary on the minutes.
Hi, thank you. So yeah, I want to add to what the last caller just said and audit both. All of them, Nora, this is all needs to be reflected. I'm literally sitting here upset. You okay, guys? This is trauma, and it's not just me. There are thousands of children and millions of adults across the world who are having this exact same trauma where we can't even speak. Yet you guys have something you can do about it. So please do it. Please reflect on the minutes. Please put revoking L. Ron Hubbard way. Put it on the board, put it on the agenda as a possibility. Make it that it's known that you heard what we're saying. Put it on the minutes. It's important to the world, not just to me or my dad, but to everybody who's been going and suffering in Scientology. So put it on the minutes, please. I beg you, and on with all due respect, all right? Put it on the minutes and do
And that's
something
60
about
seconds. President King, that concludes multiple and single item commentary this morning.
Thank you very much. With that, we will close the multiple item public comment portion of today's meeting and move forward with the approval of minutes for Wednesday, November 26, 2025. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Seeing none, is there a first and a second?
So move. Second.
First by President Pro Tem Grant, seconded by Commissioner Cardenas.
Thank you, President King. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of minutes, starting with you, President King.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
And Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and this item is approved unanimous.
Thank you very much. Moving to our agenda item number 1, which is on consent, to advertise the invitation of bids in Council District 6 for an Angeles Park Stormwater Capture Project. I'll move. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Cardenas.
Thank you, President King. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item 1, starting with you, President King.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
And Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and item 1 is adopted, and we'll move forward forthwith.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 2, requests for proposals for sewer roach control and treatment for all council districts.
Good morning, Board and the LA Sanitation representatives. My name is Nilema Bhomik and I work LA Sanitation and Environment's Clean Water North Convenience Division. I'm here to request authority to re-advertise a request for proposal for sewer roach control and treatment services. The contract is being proposed for a term of 5 years with an option to renew for additional 2 years. And proposed cost ceiling is $1,580,000. For the background of the roach treatment and services contract, it is a contract to treat approximately 2,000 maintenance holes bi-monthly by the application of registered pesticide. The treatment is done by applying an insecticidal latex coating to the inside of the maintenance hole up to a depth of 8 feet. The treatment lasts several times longer than conventional spray applications and has the unique ability to kill or control the roaches for a period of 18 months. The scope of the work includes treatment of the roach-infested city maintenance holes, urgent response to the residents' complaints for the city-owned maintenance holes and the surrounding areas. Our current contract with Golden Bell Incorporated was expired on January 2024. The original RFP went to board on November 29, 2023, to advertise and received one bidder, but they asked for extensive changes to the contract, such as warranty period reduction of the insecticidal from 2 years to 18 months, and other items. With consultation from legal, it was suggested to re-advertise it as additional vendors may now qualify to respond. In the interim period, LSN has been treated maintenance holes bi-monthly at a reduced rate for urgent responses. Proposers are required to comply with all applicable city policies and ordinances. There is no impact on the general fund. Specific funding information will be provided at the time of approval of the project award. Upon board authorization, RFP will be posted on RAMP. LSN will designate a committee to evaluate, interview, rank, select, and negotiate with the most qualified proposers. LSN will return to the board requesting authority to award contracts to the most qualified contractors. Since we respond to the residents' complaints for roaches and also treat the maintenance holes on a routine basis throughout the city, this contract has a direct impact on the public health and the environments within the city of Los Angeles. Therefore, we request your authority to re-advertise the request for proposals. So this concludes my briefing, and I'll be happy if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions or comments on item number 2? Commissioner Cardenas.
Yes, thank you. And after our briefing we had the other day, I had a question about how are we tracking, when all of these when all these procedures are being done, there is no tracking system at this moment, right? Or the vendors have no way of providing a tracking system other than a report?
Actually, vendors gives us a whole report after the treatment is done, and we do a like we send our city crews to check different areas, and every time to see if the treatment has been done. Because after the treatment was done, the vendors mark the maintenance holes, and we have the work orders and schedules, so we know which areas has been treated, and we check them. We spot check those areas.
No, the reason why I was asking is I was wondering if there was any thought given on doing digital tracking on when the when they're going from manhole to manhole, if they have GPS tracking that they can say, okay, here's our report and here's the list of all the, here's the report and here's the tracking. They stopped at every single manhole for X amount of minutes. And at least at a minimum, we know they stopped there. We don't know if they did the work, but at least they stopped there. Is there any thought using new technology so they can enhance their reporting to the city on the work that's being completed?
Yeah, we do send them the maps, and then they give us return us the maps. So we will try to add to our like system to see because the maps shows which areas has been treated. So when the vendors return back all the work orders, so they return us the maps, and then they mark which areas has been treated.
But that's a report. That's not a digital report. That's just a Word document or a spreadsheet, right?
Yeah, right.
But there is no digital tracking system that's letting the city know when they were at each location.
As of now, we don't have it, but we will try to add it in our system.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see if they're interested in doing that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments on item number 2? All right, seeing none, is there a first and a second?
So moved.
Second.
First by Commissioner Cardenas, seconded by President Pro Tem Grant.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item 2, starting with you, President Kang.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
And Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and item 2 is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much. Moving to item number 3, RFP, release request for bids and negotiate a contract landscape maintenance.
Yeah, good morning, President Kong, Commissioners. My name is Hector Manuelos. I'm with the Streets LA Urban Forestry Division. And we have before us is a request to the board to request permission from the board to allow the Bureau to advertise or for bids. These are for 4 contracts within the city, within 4 areas of the city: East Valley, West Valley, Bay Harbor, and North Central areas. Currently, we are on our first 1-year option, with the city's option to renew for 1 additional and final year. However, the Bureau wishes to align the contracts with the start of the beginning of the fiscal years, all 4 contracts. The contractors are performing work at a satisfactory level at 3 of the contracts. One of the 4th contract, the Bay Harbor area, we're having a bit of difficulties with. It's a smaller contractor, and they have already expressed their desire to not exercise the second 1-year option. So we're going to be left without a contract coming the beginning of February. And so we're asking that we can expedite this request and to get the bids and evaluate and award contracts as soon as possible for Bay Harbor area. However, we are intending on extending the contracts for the other 3 up until the beginning of the fiscal year, which will then allow us to possibly align all 4 contracts with the beginning of the fiscal year with new contractors. And that concludes the report. I'm here to address any questions the board may have.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, is there a first and a second?
So move.
Second.
President Pro Tem moves and seconded by Commissioner Cardenas.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item 3, starting with you, President Kang.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant. And Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and item 3 is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If I may interject, I do not see.
We'll go to our motions first
Very well.
while we wait for our petroleum folks. We'll go to item number 6, Council District 4, AFE South Coast Air Quality Management District.
Good morning, President Kong, Commissioners Grant, Chavez, Cardenas. I'm here to present the motion with regards to a authority to pay a authority for expenditures for a violation that took place at the Toyan Closed landfill. This is in regards the violation was a notice of violation that was issued by AQMD. Uh, just to the violation was in regards of emitting methane that from their closed landfill. We do have a crew of environmental specialists that do provide the maintenance in some of the repairs. However, this particular one was very difficult to address for the reason that this particular area that we needed to repair was on a slopey area. So we were able to resolve the issue with AQMD, and then we presented this settlement, and it was presented in closed session at City Council, and it was approved. So, any questions?
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions or comments? One quick question. I know this is related to the violation. Have we taken steps to address to prevention of future violations?
Yes. What we have done is we have modified our approach to address any emissions coming from the ground. Normally, we have 10 days to address it. So what we have done in the past 18 months is put that in our priority list. Resources in terms of staff, equipment, and purchasing of materials has been the priority. So once we identify that we have a hotspot, which refers to an area that we have methane coming out of the ground, resources are moved immediately, and we are expected now that those get repaired within 8 days, not the 10-day period. So yes, that's the new protocol, and it's been working so far.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Cardenas.
So I don't want to assume. So are we capturing the gas? What are we doing with the gas that's being captured?
Yes. In this particular, we have 5 landfills, and we have 2. The most active of the closed landfills would be Lopez Canyon, and the second one most active is Toyan landfill, which is located in the Griffith Park area, which is about 2 miles west of the LA Zoo, just to give you up on the hillside. That particular landfill has been closed for more than 25 years. So that particular landfill, it has a collection system, meaning we have wells, we dig them underground, and then we have lateral pipings throughout to collect the gas. The gas gets collected through the wells and the lateral piping system, and all that gas gets cleaned, and it gets actually, we do have a private partner there that takes the methane, cleans it, and produce energy, renewable energy. They do have a partnership with DWP. So most of that methane gets collected. However, you do have some of the methane that gets mitigated and it gets released. It pressures through the ground, and normally the pressure under the earth is so high that the ground begins to crack and you have emission of methane. So that's very hard to control. And that's the reason we do have staff that go out there on daily basis with an equipment to sniff it, to see what areas are being emitting methane. And once we identify it, we are required by AQMD to make those repairs within 10 days.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, is there a first and a second?
So move. Second.
First by President Pro Tem Grant, seconded by Commissioner Cardenas.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item 6, starting with you, President Kang.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
And Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and item 6 is approved and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much. We'll go to 7, and then we'll go back to petroleum. Bid extension in CD 14, Central Business District Sewer Rehabilitation Unit.
Good morning. My name is Amala Carino. I am a civil engineer with the Bureau of Engineering, specifically the Wastewater Engineering Conveyance Division. And the Central Business District Sewer Rehabilitation Unit 11B, Alameda to 6th Street project was advertised October 31st. The project will rehabilitate approximately 5,035 linear feet of existing 36-inch and 48-inch circular brick sewer using cured-in-place piping or ultraviolet cured-in-place piping liner methods. The sewer is approximately 100 years old, just for everybody's reference. The scope of work also includes clean the hose pipe, rehabilitating existing maintenance hose and junction structures, reactivating existing house connections, installing a new maintenance hole, adjusting maintenance hole cover to grade, upsizing maintenance hole framing covers, sewer bypassing, traffic control, and odor control. The city engineer's estimate for the project is approximately, or is, $14,181,099. The project is scheduled to receive bids on December 10th, which is this Wednesday. Due to the holiday season, general contractors may experience reduced staffing and limited availability, which can affect their availability to review bid docs, coordinate with subcontractors, and prepare complete bids. Allowing additional time in the bid schedule will help ensure the bidders have adequate opportunity to develop competitive bids, which is of high importance for everybody, and especially for the city, while also minimizing the potential of concerns regarding insufficient time allotted for the bid preparation. In conclusion, staff recommends that the Board of Public Works grant an extension of the bid date from December 10th to December 17, 2025. With the board approval, all prospective bidders will be notified of the board's action by addendum. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions on item number 7? I know you mentioned the holiday schedule. Would to December 17th be sufficient for?
And we think so. I mean, obviously the week of Thanksgiving was it's a tough week for everybody. We actually received a question from one of the bidders, which asking for additional time, and we think another week would be sufficient.
All right. Thank you very much. Any last minute comments? Seeing none, is there a first and a second?
So moved.
Second.
First by Commissioner Cardenas, second by Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item 7, starting with you, President Kang.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
And Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and item 7 is approved and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much. We'll go back to item number 4 from the Office of Petroleum in CD 15.
Good morning, Honorable Commissioners and Department Heads, and I apologize. I was listening at my desk and then item 3 went very fast, so I apologize for that. Thank you for your time. I'm Erica Blyther, the city's Petroleum Administrator, and I'm providing some background and context for these items. Item 4 is for Warren Resources, and I direct you to your packets. Attachment 1 and 2 are franchise agreements. So local governments can negotiate terms of an easement or franchise agreement relating to pipeline locations, availability of information, required payment by operators for line relocations, in case of street or highway construction or rerouting projects, maintenance of the right-of-way, pipeline abandonment, and many other issues. Municipalities endeavor to accommodate pipeline networks while protecting the integrity of the city's roads, ensuring public safety, and managing the commercial value of the public streets and thoroughfares. As such, cities require that pipeline companies obtain a contractual privilege or franchise that governs the location, construction, operation, abandonment, and removal of pipelines over and under public streets. Pipeline companies pay cities for this privilege and to offset the city's franchise-related administrative costs. In looking at a franchise agreement, and this is on page 13, per Section 4.7, removal or abandonment of facilities of their franchise, Ordinance 180567 and 181384, the franchisee is required to obtain and notify permission from the Board of Public Works before abandonment work can begin. Grantee shall obtain permission from the Board of Public Works to abandon any facilities and shall notify the department in writing prior to abandonment. Pipelines to be abandoned in place shall be purged, cleaned, sectionalized, and capped, or abandoned in any other manner as the Board of Public Works prescribes. This envisions an iterative process where plans are submitted to the Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas Administration and Safety. We review them with the Bureau of Engineers, standard abandonment practices, and make suggestions. The plans, once agreed to, are then brought to the board for approval and the work occurs. After the work is completed, the project comes back to the board for the final ending of the franchise agreement. And that's when insurance provisions as well as bond provisions would end, as well as annual payment fees. And the reason that the board and the office can be so stringent is that once the pipelines are abandoned, the ownership transfers to the City of Los Angeles. This is spelled out in the next paragraph. Upon abandonment of any facilities, grantee shall submit to the department an instrument approved by the city attorney, transferring to the city the ownership of the facilities. Grantee shall hold harmless the city, its boards, officers, agents, employees, assigns, and successors in interest from any liability which may arise or be claimed to arise from or attributable to all prior uses and operations. When these facilities are transferred to the city's ownership, the city assumes all responsibility for the remaining facilities. Specifically for this operator, the abandonment violations began in 2024 when Warren notified the Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas Administration and Safety of its intent to discontinue use and abandon several pipelines. So 2 days later, so this was received on October 9th. 2 days later, on October 11th, Warren stated that they were planning on conducting the abandonment 4 days later on October 15th, 2024. So we did not receive plans, just verbal notification. We asked them for plans, and on January 10th of 2025, the office is notified by Warren that it had already completed the abandonment work due to inability to make contact with staff. And later on, they also said that they didn't get any permits for this work. So they did not get Bureau of Engineering permits for cutting into the ground or anything. They said that on April 8th of 2025. And so we worked throughout 2025 to get information for them. We were finally able to schedule a meeting with them in May of 2025. And we held a meeting and we said, we would like the documentation to see what they did. And they said it would probably take a month or so to pull together the records. So in June, we sent a follow-up to ask for that documentation. They said that it would take more time, but they thought they would have it done by September 1st or sooner. On July 23rd, we followed up again, and they said that it's taking longer to do the records. And on September 1st of 2025, there was no receipt of the records, even though we'd reached out again. On September 9th, we moved forward to issue a formal notice of noncompliance, and the notice stated that Warren was in noncompliance with the abandonment requirements in Section 4.7, and we needed immediate correction. As of this morning, we still have no written documentation from Warren Resources, so we don't know the work that they did. We have concerns with accepting and signing off on work and having that revert to the city's ownership because we have no idea. This is the case for both of their franchisees, so we are making a recommendation of 2 penalties, 1 for each franchise. And the areas specifically for those penalties are late application because they're giving us notification after the work has occurred. And also they have yet to submit any documentation, so failure to submit documentation to the office of the work that they've done. The franchisee has also been invited to attend this meeting, and my staff, John Childs, the Senior Management Analyst of the Franchise Section, as well as Gordon Jung, the Management Analyst of the Franchise Section, are here and available. We're all available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions or comments related to item number 4? Commissioner Cardenas.
Yes, thank you for that. And it's unfortunate that the franchisee is not here today. So we have no idea. Do we have any idea the amount of piping we're talking about, footage, location, or general location, where it's where we think it's located?
We do have a general location, and we bill them annually based on the length of pipeline. And so the length of pipeline that we were billing them for is detailed in each of the franchisees' records. So for 180567, it was 94,748 feet of pipeline. And then for the other franchise, it's 62,059 feet of pipeline. So that's the amount that we were billing them for on an annual basis. So that's our estimate of what was
And they're abandoning 100% of their franchise.
correct. They are planning to completely end their franchise agreements.
Just curious, what is the plan if they go ahead and say, okay, we're abandoning this, and we have zero way of knowing what condition the piping is in? Does the city have a plan on inspecting the piping so that we have an idea of what it is? And if the city has to go ahead and mitigate the piping, would we be charging them for that cost?
Yeah, so they're under obligation with the city until the agreement ends. And the agreement doesn't end until there's that instrument transferring the ownership. So there's a provision in the contract that says we can do the work and bill them back for it later. So there is a provision for that. So we could work with, we're currently working with the Bureau of Engineering on a pipeline abandonment. And so we could have, there are contractors with the city who we could talk to about possibly doing this work and sending the bill after the fact. There might be some calculation of how to pay for some of the work up front and bill later, but there is a process that we could go through. It's not ideal, but
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. President Pro Tem Grant.
Thank you. Do they have other contracts with us?
no, these are the total of their two. It's those two contracts.
And we know anything about their financial health? Have they claimed inability to pay, bankruptcy, or anything?
I have not heard any reason for why. It's taking longer to get the records, and so that's
Sounds somewhat suspicious. But yes, thank you.
VP Chavez.
Yeah, I just find the communication issues are really, I think, what is particularly concerning to me. I'd like to learn a little bit more about just what methods, what methods and what records do we have of the communication? What types of communication tools were used? Was it by phone? Was it by email? Was it by certified mail? How were they contacted? And then when you did make contact, how did they contact your office?
Sure. It's been a mixture of phone calls, and John and Gordon can speak to phone calls as well as emails. So we have email records for some of this, and then we had in-person meetings or online meetings.
And does the office have formal acknowledgement processes for when, like formal notification requirements when franchisees want to initiate an abandonment process? Does that exist?
Yeah, so it's spelled out in their agreement, and typically they'll notify us and say, we want to end our franchise agreement. And the reason why is because they pay an annual fee, they maintain bonds and insurance. They say, we want to abandon this pipeline. We have had other franchisees who contact us and say, we want to abandon our pipeline. We say, okay, this is the process you go through. We tell them, look at the Bureau of Engineering standards, submit your plans to us, and we've gone back and forth on the plans. And we go back to the point where sometimes some changes need to be made. We reach out to the council office and say, okay, these are the plans. Does this make sense to you? And then that's the process that moves forward. But in this case, that's not what happened. It was a lot of telling us after the fact, or in too short of a time frame for us to actually adequately evaluate the project.
Yeah, I'm just curious, maybe that's something we could post on the website. Just this is the information, just so, it's Googleable. People have a way to find it so that they're not claiming that, they can't, they're claiming that there was difficulty contacting city staff and that came up repeatedly. So I'm just wanting to ensure that there's some kind of formal acknowledgement system and that is made clear and public to anyone who is interested in, and so the franchisee provides a notification that they wish to initiate the abandonment procedure, and then your staff gives them the protocols. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a way to create just a formal, just timelines and, just a formal process that's
Sure, like a
available
flow
to
chart or
everyone?
something. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really helpful
Yeah,
because
we can
it,
do
it,
it.
it takes out that excuse to say that we didn't know.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. What we were thinking about is meeting with franchisees. As you know, we want to get new franchise agreements, but telling them these are the most, we kind of, for lack of a better term, called it frequently violated terms in your franchise agreement. So one is not maintain your bonds, not maintain insurance, and then doing abandonments without proper notification. Those would be the top three right now. So that's something we could formalize, is just explaining the abandonment process on a document on the website that you suggest. That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, and also too, just this is also highlighting a potential gap between when a franchisee is inheriting a pipeline versus, what the official records need to look like. So it seems like there's a gap there because this franchisee is claiming that it wasn't, that they inherited a different number. So it just seems like there's a lot of objectivity needed here in terms of determining some of these things at the get-go. And I don't know if that involves when there's a franchise transfer, that there has to be some kind of mandatory verification. Is that normally done when there's a franchise being transferred
Yeah,
or
so
inherited?
typically we say if you're transferring a franchise, you must go through the new process to get a new franchise agreement. Annually, we bill based on length of pipeline. So that would be the time to say, these are our pipeline lengths, we've added or subtracted this amount. Per their agreement, they are supposed to notify us as they're doing these types of projects, like, oh, we're doing maintenance, we're moving, say, 2 feet of pipeline here, or we choose to add 2 feet here. That should be something that's ongoing, but at the very least, it should be annual. When we send the annual bill, these are your feet of pipeline. Is this correct?
Thank you. Commissioner Cardenas.
And just for clarity, there have been other franchisees that have understood the process, followed the process whenever they abandoned and checked all the boxes, even though there's no boxes to check, but they've checked all the boxes and you've had no issues with those franchisees understanding their responsibility as a franchisee. Is that correct?
So there are 2 pending ones that are, there's some, yes. So in short answer, yes. There are people who have done the work, hired contractors, reviewed the plans, submitted them to our office as well as the Bureau of Engineering, looked at the plans, we've made comments. Some have said, oh, we plan to do this. What do we need to do to make sure we can close this franchise appropriately? We send them a list of things, give them the location to Bureau of Engineering. These are the standards we're working on with that department. And so, yes, we have successfully communicated with some franchisees.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, commissioners? All right, seeing none, is there a first and a second?
So moved.
Second.
First by Commissioner Cardenas, seconded by Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item 4, starting with you, President Kang.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
And Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and item 4 is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you. Moving on to number 5, Office of Petroleum and CD 15, non-compliance of City of LA franchise ordinance.
Yes, Erica Blyther here again. And the same issue, unfortunately for Chevron USA, notification of the work occurring after the fact. So in this case, I think there was some level of confusion on their part because they did get permits from Bureau of Engineering and they thought that sufficed as notification to the board. But we've told them, no, you do need to submit us plans. The reason why this is a little more egregious in some cases is that this was back in March of 2022. We notified them they needed to submit plans to us. And unfortunately, there was a gap in communication. They were issued permits from Bureau of Engineering without our notification, without our knowledge. And they concluded their work in February of 2025. We scheduled a meeting with them and explained the process to them. And they said, okay, we'll get those records to us. And in fact, they did give us their records on May 12th of 2025. So we have received records. But again, the records are after the fact when the work has already occurred. So we are recommending a smaller fine, but a fine nonetheless for failure to submit application prior to the work occurring.
Thank you. Commissioner Cardenas.
Yeah, and there was a gap in there, and has your department or your office spoken to BOE to ask them whenever there's any permits for petroleum franchisees to notify you? Because it seemed like there was a gap in that. There was, you know, the flow chart was missing that piece. So has that been rectified to your knowledge?
Yes. So we've been working with the Bureau of Engineering, and so we almost get emails, I'd say, on a 2 or 3 times a month now as people are doing just regular maintenance work. Bureau of Engineering will route them to us and say, oh, is this okay? Make sure you get clarification from Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas. So that has been rectified. And as I said, we are working with abandonment standards, but we're on a pretty much formal first name basis with a lot of the folks in Bureau who issue these permits. So that has been rectified.
Thank you.
President Pro Tem Grant.
I understand, thank you for your report, why the fine is less in many respects. But did I also understand you to say at the beginning that this incident was more egregious than the other, or
Well, because
why is that so?
we gave notification in 2022. So they had adequate time to give us plans and things, and we gave them notification in 2022 as well as in 2024. And it was a gap in communication of, we don't know when their scope of work is, what their plans are. So we told them, they said, oh, we're planning to abandon this pipeline. We say, okay, give us this information in 2022. We didn't get information, but we didn't know if they were going ahead and doing the work. We just knew, we told them, give us your plans and information. After the fact, they said, oh yeah, we completed that in January, so.
I know we briefly discussed this, but $10,000 to Chevron, I know it's a very small, I mean, $10,000 is a lot of money, but for a company as large as Chevron, unfortunately, I don't think this will create any sort of shock waves in the company to better update their system. Is there a way for us to revisit sort of the penalties that are assessed to better target, whether it's given the size of the entity that we're penalizing or the type of cases? I would love to see if we can kind of figure out a better system so that we can better enforce our rules.
Yeah, so with the current contracts, we can't make changes to the terms, but with future contracts, that's something we can consider. And definitely we want to incorporate because we want to incentivize better behavior and better communication. And so one thing we've considered is a possibility of scaling penalties with the size of the operation and related to the annual franchise fee. So it makes sense. So it would be some percentage of what they pay on a regular basis instead of everyone gets a set amount. So that's something we're going to explore, but definitely we're at the minimum raise these fees or fines.
Understood. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, is there a first and a second?
So move.
Second.
First by President Pro Tem Grant, and seconded by Commissioner Cardenas.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll go ahead and take a roll call vote on approval of item 5, starting with you, President Kang.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
And Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and item 5 is adopted, and we'll move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much. Mr. Knight, I believe that concludes our voting items for today.
That is correct, President Kang.
Our next regular meeting will be Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. We'll adjourn this regular meeting and pick right back up for a management meeting. The regular meeting is now adjourned at 10:55 a.m.